Welcome to Your Next Level Now with your host, Bob Donnell. As a human behaviorist, Bob has helped people from every walk of life reach their next level, both personally and professionally. Whether a celebrity, professional athlete, or entrepreneur, Bob has helped them align their behavior with their desired result in their life and career. This is Your Next Level Now with Bob Donnell.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Your Next Level Now. Hope you guys are rested and relaxed, but also energized for this week. Mondays kind of get a bad rap, I think, a lot of times. I've always found that Mondays were a beginning of a new week. Mondays were an opportunity to do things differently, to do things even better than what we did before. I hope that you can look at Monday that same way. I hope. I see people coming in now in the room. Let's kind of look at this Monday a little bit differently. Here's what I found to be about Mondays. Mondays are a great beginning or a great ending. Well, Bob, what does that mean? Well, we can choose to whether it's a great beginning or we can choose by starting off, it's Monday. I hate Mondays. Mondays are tough for me. I need extra coffee on Mondays. Whatever it is, I can tell you just by the statements that you talk about Mondays is probably going to determine whether it's a great beginning for you or a great ending. There is a pillar that I wrote some years ago. And as I share it with you, I really want you to think about, invite some people to listen to this, whether they're watching live or whether they're watching recorded, doesn't matter. You can invite them to the Everything Next Level group on Facebook, which is free. So you can invite people to that. It's up to you. But I would encourage it because I think as we get better, our world gets better. And as our world gets better, we all get better again, right? Here's the pillar that I want to talk about. Excuses are easier to find than reasons. Excuses are easier to find than reasons. Now, is that true? I found it to be true. And here's why. Here's a couple of things. Have you found that to be true? Say yes, or give a thumbs up or something. If you found that excuses have been easier to find in your past than reasons. Here's what I found in researching human behavior. Reasons are more difficult to find because they require a couple of different things. Excuses don't require much. It's just any excuse will do. Any excuse will do. I don't want to go to the park. Any excuse will do. I don't want to go see this event or go to this party or go to this gathering, or I don't want, any excuse will do. But to go, you might have to have more of an emotional connection, which is often going to be a reason, right? And so here's a couple of things I want to talk about. But if you're thinking about this, I really want you to think about how you've dealt with decisions, how you've dealt with things that you needed to do, things that you wanted to do, things that you felt you should do, things that other people feel you should do, whatever it is. I want you to think about it from the standpoint of, was it an excuse or was it a reason? In life, we have a lot of opportunities to do things for a myriad of different reasons. And unfortunately, a lot of times we do them for the wrong reason, or we don't do them because we were looking for the excuse to not do them. So here's a couple of things this is going to be a quick one today. but I really want to put this out there for the beginning of the week. You have decisions this week that will be uniquely your decisions. I'm not talking about the decisions that everyone has. Like, okay, we got to run, got to go to the store. So we got to stop at the stoplight. We've got to, we got to pick this up. But you're going to have unique opportunities this week that are yours and yours only. And you will be required to either find an excuse to or not to do them. See, excuses don't always get you out of doing something. They may be an excuse to get you to do something. Well, my friends were doing it. Well, everybody else does it. I've done it before. So what's the harm? Excuses can get you into trouble as well as get you out of, or get you into more trouble than they get you out of. So this idea of excuses versus reasons, you're going to have a set of opportunities this week that you will have to have an excuse or a reason to or to not do. Reasons often require stillness. Most people can't even sit still long enough. Introspect. You're going to really have to look deep. Digging, like not just taking what's on the surface, but really digging, and accepting of responsibility. Let me say that again. I think these things are really important for us to realize why excuses may be easier than reasons to find about that thing that we say. Why do I keep putting that off? Why do I not do that? Why do I? Because reasons often require stillness. Just stillness. That means not having to turn on the TV. That means not getting up and doing a million tasks. That means not, I just got to go do this one. I just got to do this and then this and then this. And then all of a sudden you've lost track of the day. Stillness. I know Flo has been really practicing stillness in the morning, doing her stillness, meditation, prayer, just being still. There's a great Bible verse that says, be still and know that I am God. Wow. Be still and just know, just relax and know and understand that I'm God. Or it requires introspect. When was the last time you sat in stillness? When was the last time you sat in stillness and asked yourself quality questions about your life, about what you want to experience, what you are experiencing, what you need in order to experience the life that you want versus the life that you are getting? Excuse, reason. I heard it said one time that there are two young girls. Don't know if the story is absolutely truth or not, but it's a great story and analogy if it's not. But two young girls growing up in Chicago. Both had abusive families, both had poverty, both had, unsurmountable challenges, had been abused in several different ways. And one became a drug addict and living on the streets. And one became Oprah Winfrey. And the question was asked, what was the difference? Both abusive relationships, families, experiences in life, both growing up in the same area, both having, major challenges. And the determination was that one used their set of circumstances as an excuse. The reason I'm a drug addict, the reason I'm living on the streets, the reason I'm blank, blank, blank are because the way I was raised, because my family, because my parents, because of my poverty, because of my education, lack of education, or then you look at Oprah and she used it as a reason. It wasn't an excuse. It was like, because I went through that, I will make sure that I never end up back there again, that I will show other people the way out. Guys, this is not about Oprah Winfrey. This is an example. I will show a way out. I will let people live through my agony to help them avoid the agony that they may be on the trajectory to experience if they're not careful and if they don't find a better way. So ask yourself this: in the life experiences that you've had, in the life experiences that you're having, and the life experiences that are projected for you by others, not by anyone probably other than you or others, what's the life trajectory? Is it one of pain, regret, sorrow, emptiness, frustration, overwhelm? What's the life trajectory? That introspect. Really ask yourself the question: if I continue to do this in my business for the next 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, what will my life, what will my business life look like? Will I be getting a lot of the same that I've been getting, or will I be getting worse, or will I be getting better? That introspect, you have to ask yourself the question. You have to ask yourself the serious questions so that you can get serious about the answers. Let me say that again. You have to ask yourself serious questions so that you can get serious about serious answers. You're going to have to dig. You know, it's not going to be on the surface, probably. It's not just going to be right there where you just look and go, oh, there it is. You might have to dig. You might have to really put some muscle into it. You might have to take some extra measures. Are you willing to dig? Are you willing to do the work? Are you really willing to do the work? There's a lot of people out there that say they want results, but they're not willing to do the work. Or they want to become a better version of themselves, if you want to use that term, but they're not willing to do the work. And I can admit that there were times in my life when I wasn't willing to do the work. I wasn't willing to be still. I wasn't willing to sit and introspect and really ask deeper questions and think about more than what's on the surface. And I wasn't willing to dig deep. And then the last piece of this was the accepting of responsibility. There have been times when I have not been willing to accept responsibility. How about you? Have there been times when you've just said, well, that's because somebody else did this to me? I've been there. I've done that. I've said that. When I sit back in introspection and I'm still and I dig deep, I realize that it's my responsibility. It's then and only then that we actually become the person that we need to become to get to the life that we want to live, have, or the human beings that we want to be. Here's what I believe that's true about it. We have to not only do the work, the thing that's going to allow us to do the work is to be emotionally connected. Emotionally connected. Here's why I say that. The level of our emotion about something is going to determine the level that we will be willing to do the work, to be still, to dig deep, and to accept responsibility. How much emotional courage, how much emotional leverage do we need to have in order to run around the block versus run a 26-mile marathon? How much do we have to do with dealing with how much emotional currency do we have to have in order to navigate good times versus tough times? See, are we willing to dig down deep? Are we willing to sit in stillness? Are we willing to dig and accept responsibility? And it's going to be determined on to what level of emotional currency we have to exchange at that moment. I think a lot of times we wait until we need the courage, need the strength, need the emotional currency to develop it. And a lot of times those that have achieved exceptional things in life, they've done the work in advance. They've taken the time. They've sat in stillness. They've had several moments of introspection. They've done the digging. They've asked the tough questions. They've dealt with the tough answers. and they've accepted the responsibility, and they've done it in advance, not when they needed to. Now, don't get me wrong. There are times when all of a sudden something happens and all of a sudden you rise up, or those people have risen up because it was required of them. And they chose, I can lay down and die, or I can stand up and live. I can lay down and die, or stand up and live. I can give in, or I can put out. Which one is it? Which one is it for you? Are you even cognizant or present of these things that we're talking about today? Or is it just kind of like, well, when it happens, and I'll know whether I'm up to the test or not. When it happens, I'll know. Yeah, you will. But what if you just go, no, I'm going to do some work. I'm going to put in the work. I'm going to dig a little deeper. I'm going to ask tougher questions of myself and of my circumstances. Does that make sense to you guys? The more I've seen it in dealing with people from every walk of life, the more I've realized those that are achieving outrageous results are typically people that are doing the work in advance. They're not waiting to see if they've got it at the time. They're doing the work. It's kind of like, a football team that goes out to play. You can clearly see the ones that have prepared for the game versus those who showed up. You can tell who is prepared for this specific opponent versus those who appeared ready to play, but really had no game plan against this specific opponent. Which one are you? Are you the one that has put in the work ahead of time? Are you the one that has asked the tough questions, been introspective about your game, about your business, about your opportunity, about your marriage, about your relationships, about your families? Introspective, asking the tough questions, living and sitting with the tough answers. Look, it's one thing to ask the tough question. It's another thing to hear the tough answer. I think far often we practice asking the tough question because we think it looks good on us and others will appreciate and respect us, but we're not willing to live with the tough answers. And the tough answers may be, no, you're not doing it well. No, that was a failure or a setback or whatever you want to call it. So the question is, are you doing the work in advance? Are you waiting to see how you perform at the moment? So, Flo, got some thoughts?
Yeah, I do both. I do notice a difference though when I do the work. And then I sit there and go, wow, why didn't I just always do that? But yeah, I do both. I'll just.
What do you notice as the difference typically?
Like if I don't do my meditation and my being still in the first thing, I'm off. I don't know why. It's just maybe I haven't grounded myself or just did the work.
Yeah. What does it feel? What does it feel like? How do you emotionally connect with that? Because if we look at it and go, well, there's really not much difference. You're clearly recognizing that there is a difference when you've done the work versus when you haven't done the work. How do you emotionally connect with that? Because that's going to determine the likelihood you'll do it again, one way or the other. How do you emotionally connect with that?
It's kind of like my self-care.
Okay.
And it's the me time where I just allow myself to give myself the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Whatever, sometimes I'll say today it's got to be 10 minutes.
Right. It's going to be the whole day.
No, or I'll sometimes.
I'm talking about for me. There are days when I think I should just stay in meditation all day.
Yeah, that's true. But no, sometimes I'll be like on the exercise bike, and I'll be in thought. I'll be in like, how is my body doing on the bike?
Right.
And that the timer will go off, but I'll keep going. I'll turn the timer off and I'll just say, I'll just keep going until I feel like I'm finished.
Right.
So then I'll transition into the next,
So what does it feel like, or what results do you see that are different when you do that versus when you don't? Like, do you see yourself being more patient, kinder to yourself, kinder to others? What do you see? What do you notice as the differences when you do that versus when you don't?
I seem more present because I've allowed myself to be present with me and find, okay, just, I seem more collected together instead of just shooting from the hip.
All right. Well, thank you for sharing.
Oh, and Michelle is a fly on the wall.
Okay.
So, you know.
Alana, what are your thoughts? How are you seeing excuses versus reasons, and how do they play out
Oops.
for you?
Sorry about that. And I put it in chat. When I think of excuses, it's mostly, whether it's me or observing, embellished, but that's a gentle word of saying probably not true.
Okay. So how do they play out for you when you're present, or when you're dealing with it and you're looking for a reason versus an excuse? How does it play out for you?
When I can be open to somebody and be comfortable enough saying, I apologize for being late. This is why. In my mind, sometimes the apology for being late is enough information. And other times I feel like an excuse when I say there was construction on the road, and there was construction on the road, versus I should plan anytime I go anywhere that there could be a little delay.
Yeah.
So
that's that
feel,
ownership of responsibility.
Exactly. I love the ownership of responsibility. It is, we can only be responsible for ourselves, and we can be responsible to other people, but not for them. So that is really, really important to me. And I work very hard on it. You know, the part about control, you control yourself, you can't control others. So you control your thoughts and things like that. So I really think this is important for the reasons for things, and looking at the good reasons for things. Why do I feel so good today? What did I get done today? Right. What did I do good today?
Can you feel good about doing nothing on a certain day?
Can I feel good about doing nothing? What?
Can you feel good? Do you ever allow yourself to feel good about not accomplishing a lot of stuff, a lot of things in a certain day?
Yeah, especially when I plan it, like time to go do a girls' spa day. Flo, you want to go?
Right. I love that, Alana. I love the fact of how you answered that question. Yes, when I have planned it.
Yeah.
So good, because if we need to plan those times, right, of just downtime, we need to plan to just veg or be. I love that answer. Great answer. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think that when my granddaughter's been living with me, so I have an hour in the morning getting her to work, an hour in the afternoon. It's taken a lot out of my schedule, but it also gets me out of bed earlier, gets me started earlier. And when I've had a lot of things happening that I've been just like keep checking them off the list, even when they weren't urgent. And at the same time, I did something yesterday. It took an hour, and it's saving me about $80 a month on a phone line and computer cable. And it's like, do it. So those things that I feel good about getting done. Right. It's not really related to excuses, other than in the past, I could think I was too busy. But the reality is, when I get focused on what else do I need? I mean, you know, I've heard other people say it, the busiest they ever are is the day or two before they take off on a trip.
Absolutely.
And it's like, it's like I'm doing things that aren't important. to go on the trip, but it's
Yeah,
on the
of course.
list of get it done, get it done. So, yeah, I really like the taking responsibility and, the reasons versus excuses.
Yeah.
And sometimes I put those in the same category.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we all do from time to time. So, but I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. So, guys, we're gonna let you. I don't see anything over on Facebook, so people are just watching. They're not commenting. So, guys, I just want to encourage you that when you do something this week, when you're supposed to do something, or when you say you're going to do something, and then you make a change in direction, whether you're going to or not, just be clear. Is this an excuse or is this a reason? When you're running late, is this an excuse or is it a reason? If I had an employee, a good friend of mine, that was working for me, and I've told this story here before, so I'll shorten it. But she was supposed to come to an appointment, and she called and said, "I'm running late. I'll probably be about 20 minutes late." And I said, "Don't come." She goes, "No, I'm coming. I'm on my way. I'm talking to one of our clients." I go, "Don't come." She came anyways. And at the end of our meeting, I said, she goes, "Why did you tell me not to come?" I said, "Because it wasn't important enough to you." She goes, "What do you mean? I was on the phone with our clients. It was important. It was important." I go, "If I was going to give you $5,000 to have been here on time, would you have been here on time?" "Yes." So it clearly wasn't worth $5,000. You just made the allowance that, yes, you could have been if the motivation was enough. Excuse versus reason. She said, "Well, what am I supposed to do about that?" I said, "Well, if you don't want that to happen again, then I suggest you find a reason to be on time versus an excuse to not." She said, "What should I do?" I said, "I would pick a painful thing that if you're late on time, if you're not on time again for something, an appointment or whatever, that you have to do something that would be, there's just no way you would allow yourself to have to say that." So she said, "Okay." About 8 months later, 9 months later, she's working for another company. She's working for a big big insurance company. And she calls me and she goes, "Bob," at the end of the day, she goes, "Oh my gosh, you're not going to believe what I did today." I said, "What?" She goes, "Well, I was late to my appointment." And I was late to an appointment with all of my people that were under me, that were in my jurisdiction. None of them were my senior managers. I was their manager. And I walked in and I was late. I said, "What'd you do?" She goes, "I remember what you said. I remember you said you got to make it so painful that you'll never do that again." So she said, "I walked in, I said, I'm sorry I'm late, but I guess this meeting just wasn't important enough to me." She said, people in the room were just like, "What did she just say?" She said, "Bob, I said, "Why'd you do that?" She goes, "Because it was so embarrassing to say that I would never be willing to say that again. I had to make it painful enough." I'll close out with this. There's a great movie with Matt Damon, and it's called We Bought a Zoo. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend it. It's just a good feel good movie, but it's also a good movie from some great principles. And he's talking to I think it was his little boy at the time, and he says, "Sometimes you just need 20 seconds of courage. You don't need to have courage for the entire day. It might just be 20 seconds. Sometimes you're going to experience something where you just need courage in the moment. That 20 seconds of courage that you don't need to say, 'Oh, I'm brave and courageous all of the time.' That right now, the moment is requiring you to be courageous. Maybe you just need 20 seconds of courage. Just put in the work for that 20 seconds and see what the result is. Just put in the 20 seconds of owning responsibility. Just put in the 20 seconds of saying, 'No, that's an excuse. I'm going to choose to be a reason.'" Today, this week, great opportunity to decide, am I going to use an excuse, or am I going to find and do the work to find the reason? So, guys, get out there, make it a great week, and enjoy your next level.
You've been listening to Your Next Level Now with Bob Donnell. To find out more, call us at 949-542-6398. That's 949-542-6398. Or you can find more information on our website at everythingnextlevel.com. That's everythingnextlevel.com.